When you think of the Maldives, you probably picture paradise on earth. Overwater villas, silent lagoons, and 1,000 tiny islands scattered like pearls across the deep blue of the Indian Ocean. And in most parts of the atoll, it's exactly this paradise. Quiet, untouched, and serene. But there's another side to this nation. One that feels less like a tropical spa and more like Manhattan, in the middle of the ocean. This is Malé. It is one of the most densely populated places on Earth. While the world's travelers head to the quiet atolls to escape the crowd, over a third of the entire Maldivian population is packed into the single square mile of concrete. From the air, it looks strange. A miniature metropolis of colorful skyscrapers rising straight out of the sea, guarded by a massive seawall against the crashing waves. How did this tiny coral island become Kowloon Walled City H2O? And why did a nation of unlimited islands decide to put almost everything in one single place? Today we are looking at the gravity of a capital, the massive engineering projects that are physically stitching these islands together, and the ambitious Plan B known as Hulhumalé, an attempt to save the city before it becomes Bikini Bottom. This is the story of a city that makes no sense at all. This is Malé. If you look at a map of the Maldives, you see 1192 islands. From a distance, it looks like the ultimate choose-your-own adventure for living, like being Robinson Crusoe as a lifestyle choice. But for decades, if you wanted a high school education, a specialized surgery, or a job that didn't involve catching tuna, you only had one choice: Malé. Then, in the 70s and 80s, when the tourist boom hit, suddenly the Maldives wasn't just a collection of fishing villages, it was a global brand. But the banks were in Malé, the government was in Malé, the only international airport was, well, on the island next to Malé. The result? A massive internal migration. People from the outer atolls began flooding into the capital, looking for the Maldivian dream. Malé isn't a city that can sprawl. There's no suburbs when your city ends abruptly in a 2-kilometer drop-off into the Indian Ocean. So Malé did the only thing it could. It ate itself. First the trees went, then the traditional courtyard houses were torn down to make way for 5-story buildings. Then those were torn down for 10-story buildings. Today the streets are so narrow that 2 delivery bikes passing each other becomes a challenge. You know, like walking next to that one friend. By the early 2000s, the population density hit nearly 65,000 people per square kilometer. To put that in perspective, that's roughly 3 times the density of Manhattan. We're talking about a place where personal space is a foreign concept, and the only way to get a breath of fresh air is to go to the literal edge of the island and stare at the sea wall. But why didn't people just move to another island? Because in the Maldives, if you aren't in the greater Malé area, you're effectively off the grid. This wasn't just a choice, it was an economic gravity well that sucked the entire country into 1 square mile of coral. By the late 90s, Malé wasn't just full, it was overflowing. The government realized that if they didn't do something drastic, their capital was going to drown in one way or another. Their solution? Just make a new island, right? Enter Hulhumalé. This isn't a natural coral atoll like you would suggest. Instead, it's a massive man-made land reclamation project. They pumped millions of tons of sand from the lagoon floor onto a shallow reef, creating a platform that sits 2 meters higher than Malé. A crucial lifeboat strategy for a country facing rising sea levels. And I swear, if anyone is commenting climate change doesn't exist...
Larry, you can't just... Larry.
Anyway, for a long time, Hulhumalé was an island of its own, literally. If you lived there but worked in Malé, you were at the mercy of the ferry schedule. If the weather turned bad, you were essentially stuck. But then came the Sinamalé Bridge, or as it's officially known, the China-Maldives Friendship Bridge. Ah, China, always there to help you. This thing is a marvel of engineering though. Building a multi-lane highway over a deep sea channel with massive swells and a coral foundation is basically the final boss of civil engineering. But when it opened in 2018, it changed everything. Suddenly you could ride a scooter from the cramped 14th century layout of Malé to the wide breezy boulevards of Hulhumalé in 10 minutes. It turned a fragmented archipelago into one metropolitan area. But if phase 1 of Hulhumalé was about giving people room to breathe, phase 2, that massive stretch of land to the north, is about the future. It's a forest of high-rise social housing towers that look like textbook Chinese architecture. If you want to learn more about that, check out my video about China's insane growth. This is the Maldives' attempt to finally solve the housing crisis, but it comes with a weird vibe. These affordable housing units are often handed over as empty concrete shells, forcing families into massive debt just to make them livable. This has fueled a desperate shadow market where lucky tenants sublet their flats for 5 times the official rent, leaving the average Maldivian still stranded between a high-rise dream or the crowded Malay reality. But Hulhumalé isn't the only direction the city is expanding to. If you thought the Sinamalé Bridge was ambitious, look at what's happening on the other side of the island. While Hulhumalé was about living, the expansion to the west is about the engine room of the nation. And as we know from city skylines, at least half of the land has to be dedicated to industry, right? And so, construction is now well underway on the Greater Malé Connectivity Project, a series of bridges and causeways stretching towards the islands of Vilingili, Thilafushi and the infamous Thilafushi. This isn't just about more housing, it's about physically linking the entire economic heart of the country into one giant by road connected metropolis. First, there's Thilafushi. Maldivians will probably hate me for this pronunciation though, but yeah, this used to be a quiet reef that's being transformed into a massive international port. The goal is to move the heavy shipping and industrial chaos out of Malay's cramped docks, finally giving the capital's shoreline back to the people. Then the bridge also reaches Thilafushi, an island that for decades was known as Trash Island. It was and still is the country's primary landfill, a place where the waste of thousands of people went to be burned. But even the garbage island is being reclaimed. So Thilafushi is being reimagined as a modern industrial zone, proving that in the Maldives even a landfill is too valuable to leave as a wasteland. This was my little take on the Maldives and its capital. The white sands and the Instagrammable atolls will always be the face of the Maldives, but Malé is its reality. It's a city that ran out of space, so it started eating the lagoon. It's a place where you can live in a social housing tower that looks like a 1980s Soviet block, yet step outside and see the most beautiful water on the planet. As the concrete continues to crawl across the reefs, the line between island and infrastructure is disappearing. Malé isn't just a city anymore, it's a gamble against climate change and overcrowding. Because for the people living in one of the most crowded square miles on Earth, there is no going back to the quiet atoll life. The only way out is forward, outward, sideward. Well, but would you live here? Or is the beauty not worth the struggle? Let me know in the comments and consider supporting me on Patreon for more mini documentaries about fascinating places around the earth. Thanks for watching and bye bye.